Good afternoon. It's News Radio 1029 KARN. I always forget to adjust my volume, so the good afternoon part's usually a little bit quiet. So I apologize. If you wonder what's happening, that's it. I have a little volume control here in the studio, a little inside baseball. Welcome to the Schmidt Show here on News Radio 1029 KARN. I am, in fact, your host, Brad Schmidt. We're glad you're here. If you're following along on the video, either through our Twitter stream or Twitter feed, or through our website, or even potentially our YouTube channel, you can go to. We have a YouTube channel. I've not been there in quite some time, so I don't know if it stores like past videos that you can go back and watch. I guess I'd have to log in and take a look, but you can also watch me there. I usually just put up the first segment of the show where we talk a little bit about what I have deemed the What You Ought to Know segment. And so today, as we kick things off, the What You Ought to Know part, there's actually, we're going to have a little bit of fun today. I have been... I don't want to say avoiding this story, but I've not been really talking about it because I've not followed it probably as closely as I should. But there has been some discussion as of late about Alex Jones and the very real possibility of a government forced shutdown of Alex Jones, network or whatever you want to call it, InfoWars. And he is potentially going to be shut down and have all of the assets of the company essentially sold off to pay his more than $1.5 billion judgment against him about the Sandy Hook stuff. And so we're gonna have a little bit of fun today. We're gonna do what I'm gonna call Conspiracy Theory Tuesday. I typically stay away from conspiracy theories just because most conspiracy theories are just kind of genuinely crazy. But I do find quite a bit of joy in digging into the various conspiracy theories. In fact, one of the YouTube channels that I've really quite come to enjoy lately, I suppose in the last year or so, is a YouTube channel called The Y-Files. And on The Y-Files, there's a guy, and I don't even know his full name, but he goes by AJ, and he has his little sidekick of a goldfish in a fishbowl next to him. And he goes through a lot of these kind of conspiracy theories about various things, everything from the apocalypse and aliens and subliminal mind control to, the pyramids and the weird conspiracies about the moon and all of these things. And he kind of gives you the conspiracy theory. Here's what they, the quote unquote proverbial they, are talking about or are having a discussion about. But then here's how he kind of debunks it. But then he also says, and here's some of the things that could potentially be viable or believable. And so it's actually really quite fun to watch because it's a lighthearted look at some of these. It's not so serious and they're out to get us and the aliens are trying to cook our brains from space and all of these kind of fun things. But it's a little bit more fun or lighthearted look at a bunch of these conspiracies. So I want to talk a little bit about conspiracy theories. I want to talk a little bit about some of those things. And I would love to hear, what is your favorite conspiracy theory? Whether you believe it or not, I don't really care. It's not about, give me the all of the details as to why you believe it or all that kind of stuff. It's not so much that I want to know about the conspiracy theories that you believe. I just want to know, what are the ones that you find most interesting? For me, most of the interesting interesting conspiracy theory stuff involves space, the moon. There's actually, so years ago, somebody, I don't remember who it was, I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but he proposed that there was a possible, at the time, 10th planet, when we still called Pluto a planet, but now it's considered, NASA calls it Planet X or Planet 9. And there was this conspiracy. It was crazy. It was insane to believe that there was another planet out there somewhere in our solar system that existed. And anybody that suggested such was considered a crazy, and it was pseudoscience and all that kind of stuff. And now, as of recently, I think 2021 was the most recent discussion of it, that NASA scientists and engineers are fairly certain that it exists, almost a 100% certainty that there is another planet out there at the very, very far reaches of our solar system. And they believe that they will have confirmation of it in the next couple of years. But the math kind of seems to show that there is another object out there that we can't see. It's either too far away for telescopes or any of that kind of stuff, and it doesn't reflect enough of the sun's light and radiation for it to be illuminated like some of the other planets. And it's just a cool theory, and just up until a few years ago, it was considered crazy. And now we've got actual NASA scientists and engineers going, actually, we think it's probably there. We don't really know what it is, but the math kind of bears it out. And so the reason that's kind of important in the whole mathematical discussion, because a couple of the other planets in our solar system were proven to exist mathematically because of the way gravity and things like that were affected in our solar system and all of that. And they went, it should be right there. We because of what we have done with the mathematical equations and all this kind of stuff, there should be a planet right about there, and it should be right about there at such and such a time. And so they started pointing big, powerful telescopes at that point, and sure enough, there it was. They found it. And so they believe that they'll have some form of confirmation of Planet X as well. So anyway, just a kind of a sidetrack, but that's one of the kind of stuff, the conspiracy theories, things like that I think are fascinating, because there's a potential of them being real and a potential of them being verifiable and all those sorts of things. So as we kick things off today, it is Conspiracy Theory Tuesday. I want to hear your greatest or favorite conspiracy theory. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be believable, and I don't even necessarily have to know whether or not you believe it, because I love some conspiracy theories that I know are absolutely bunk and not believable at all. And so it's just fun to read about them and hear about them. The other reason I bring up conspiracy theory or want to do a Conspiracy Theory Tuesday is because yesterday somebody mentioned Malaysian flight MH370. This is the plane that went missing back in 2014 or whatever. It was a Malaysian flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, China, and it just disappeared. Off the face of the planet, off of the sky or whatever, it just disappeared. Nobody's been able to find it. Well, just yesterday, either last night or today, I don't remember when, I think it was like midnight last night or whatever, a huge kind of an announcement concerning that says, hey, we think we might know where it's at, and we might know why. There's a major breakthrough on this. There's these underwater sensors placed around the ocean in various places on the planet that detect noise and pressure changes and seismic activity and all that kind of stuff. And they after analyzing about 100 hours of underwater audio during the time that this plane would have gone missing, they think they might have found what they believe to be a Boeing 777 or an audio recording of consistent with a Boeing 777 on that day in 2014 that crashed into the ocean. And so they think we may know where it's at, and we may know where it may have crashed. And so that conspiracy theory may be falling apart all of a sudden. So anyway, that's the other one in the news, like legitimate news stories. I'm not just being crazy today, but legitimate news stories. One, of course, Alex Jones and the potential of his InfoWars being shut down. And part of the reason I want to bring that up is because it also opens up the discussion of the limits of free speech. And where are those limits? Alex Jones claimed essentially that Newtown, Connecticut was a black flag event or a false flag event, and it didn't really happen, and there were actors and all this kind of stuff. And so he ended up being fined or lost in a civil case, I guess I should say, a $1 billion judgment. And so I want to talk a little bit about the limits of free speech today as well, in conjunction with what's your favorite conspiracy theory. As like I said, MH370 seems to be collapsing. They may have found the plane and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, we will continue with the Schmidt Show on News Radio 102.9 KRN. Looking forward to hearing about your conspiracy theories next.